Okay, that's fine. That's part of it.
Yeah, it's good.
First episode in here.
Start recording.
Is this episode 51?
This is episode 51.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, hi there, everybody.
Stop it.
It's the Doc here, and welcome to episode 51 of That Reminds Me Of. Today we're talking about Eternals, which is the latest star-studded saga in the Marvel Universe. G'day, Baron. How are you?
How you doing, Doc? So I should just start by saying this is our second time in this studio recording, but actually the first time that we're going to keep it, because last time I forgot to press record. And then we went into lockdown and all sorts of things happened. And the other thing I should say is that I've just realized that while we're trying to figure out how we do introductions and stuff, that by introducing ourselves to that camera, we're completely off of mic. So anyway, the point is we're still figuring it out.
Yeah, so we've got several cameras here, but we're generally going to try and talk to each other.
Yes. Yes.
And on that other episode that we did, that's going to go down in history, I think, as the lost episode.
Yeah. And
maybe in decades to come, when all the fans just have been beating down our doors, we may release that, even with the bad audio. It was episode 49, Black Widow. And then we just went, scrap that, we're doing a new 49. Yeah. And I don't remember what that was, but it was a ripper. No, me either. But here we are finally in the studio. This is so bloody exciting.
It's cool, hey. And we're just coming out of lockdown. We're all here with no masks, even though we're probably meant to be, but that's fine. And I say all because we have a new addition to our team as well.
New cast member.
A new cast member.
Albeit somewhat in the background.
Yes.
Go for it. Who have we got?
So we've never talked about where we work, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think we will. But we work in a corporate gig. We've said that. We have another fella from our corporate job who's joined us. He is the Maestro, Salvatore. Comes from...
Well, he doesn't come from... There he is. Introduced himself.
And I'm editing that out. Let's start again. We have the Maestro, Salvatore, who comes from our job, our workplace, and is now part of our team. What is the role that we're calling this? We don't even really know what to say, but he's going to be editing, live cutting, helping us not make bad decisions, making sure we look and sound good, and joining us for films and chipping in.
Well, the job is the Maestro. He's like the conductor.
Absolutely.
You know, you've got the musicians here, and then he's just calling the shots. He's the puppet master.
Yes.
All of these sorts of things. So he brings a wealth of talent from Naples in Italy, and he brought it here, and he's gifted it to us.
He has, and he's been quiet now because we haven't given him a microphone. But we will one day probably do that. He can still talk though. You want to say hi, Sal?
Hi, everyone.
Awesome.
Okay, we may hear more from Sal in coming episodes. Let's keep him quiet for now, because if you get him started, I'll tell you what, he might take over the show.
Absolutely.
So, speaking of the show.
Well, first of all, we've gone to the movies.
Yes.
After a long time of not being able to go to the movies, and the first thing we saw was Eternals. The Eternals.
I think it's Eternals.
Is it just Eternals?
I believe... Oh, jeez. I don't know.
Bad start.
Sal.
Is it the Eternals or Eternals?
I think it's Eternals.
Oh,
I think it's Eternals. There you go.
Yeah. He's going to Google it. Look that up, Sal. So, we went to the movies to see that. Yep. It was the Ripper Palace deal where you get the ice cream, the popcorn, and the drink of your choice.
Yep.
So we couldn't say no.
We are not yet sponsored by Palace Cinemas.
No.
But
we give them a lot of free plugs, don't we?
I think we do. As we gain some momentum, I think we're going to try and get them on board. But they were... So this is not sponsored, but they were awesome. They always are. Ice cream, wine, and popcorn. So
we saw the Eternals. And do we have to talk about what's been going on in our life this time? Or
look, we don't have to.
Yeah.
But I am interested because you always have a lot of stuff going on in your life, especially recently. All your film stuff is going a bit bananas.
Yeah.
Is there any updates since the last time? I can't remember what your last success was.
No.
No.
There's no
Nothing. Okay.
I mean, I've just been working on it all. And we got into a couple more festivals. Tomorrow I'm joining a round table for the Rock Horror Film Festival in Brazil.
The Rock Horror?
Yep. So I'll be talking to them about the film, along with the editor, Luke, who's in Perth. And aside from that, no, just bits and pieces. What about you, Doc? What are you reading? What are you reading at the moment?
I've actually got it in my cargo pants right here. Like
cargo pants. I love it.
Have you been watching reels on Instagram? Same as TikTok. I've just sort of started looking at them, and there's this thing that keeps on coming up with these women who say, "Oh, I love your dress," and they say it's got pockets, 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 and they do this little dance all about. Also happy that it's got pockets.
I've missed that, but it's great.
Anyway, my cargo pants has pockets, so you can put a lot of things in.
Whoa, that was a strange throwback to Black Widow as well. Remember, there's the whole commentary the whole way through about how the younger sister has this great vest with loads of pockets.
It's so true.
There you go.
It just reminds me of that great episode we did.
The Lost
best episode ever. It's never going to see the light of day. Oh my goodness, bloody pockets. Okay, yeah, I'm making a bet with myself. A commitment to talk about a book every time. So that means I'll read one every couple of weeks.
Beautiful.
This one is Letters to a Young Poet. So it's Rainer Maria Rilke, who's a German poet. Do you know it?
This book is in a movie.
Is it?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure I saw a movie where
it's pretty famous.
A character says to another character, "Read this book," and it changes her life somehow. But anyway, we'll come back to that.
Well, it's the whole thing is it's not fiction. It's Rilke is a real poet, and this young poet, like in his teens, is writing letters to this established poet who is only bloody 27 or something, so he's still a boy.
Yeah.
And asking for, advice on his writing career and all that sort of stuff. And this is Rilke as the kind of old man, 27-year-old, giving advice to the young poet.
I love it.
Which is quite ridiculous in a way, but it's good.
Yeah.
And the ridiculous thing is that at the same time that he's giving advice, Rilke is also a kind of student or helper to the sculptor Rodin, who did the Thinker, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's weird. So Rilke is an apprentice to this master and also giving advice to a young kid.
I love it.
Anyway,
there's layers.
There you go, layers.
Are you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it. It's great.
Awesome. Okay. If anybody in YouTube land can think of what that movie is, where that book is given to a young person, I would love to know. Because I've seen it. I've seen it.
I think it's a series.
Is it?
Yeah.
A series. Okay.
Because it reminded me of something.
Yeah.
Put it in the comments, people. Remember to subscribe and like, and put it in the comments.
We're still not good at this stuff, the subscribe and like stuff, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, that's enough about our life.
Yeah.
Eternals.
Eternals. Not the Eternals. Yes.
Talk to me.
I don't know where to start, honestly. I will start actually by saying that we made a little bit of a pact to each other some episodes ago, fairly recently.
That's right.
That we would sort of try to be kind in our criticism, because we're not really here about being critics. We're really here because we're film fans and we want to just talk about films and the things that we love about them and what we were reminded of while we were watching them, which reminds me that we haven't really done our intro fully, but that's fine. And this film, I think I could tell by looking at you while we were in the cinema, and I know what I was feeling, that we had issues with it. So I think sometimes we just have to be truthful about what we think about a film, but we'll try and do it in a constructive way.
I think we can be constructive here because
Absolutely.
I have every respect for Chloé Zhao, the director. For starters, we recently talked about Nomadland. Yeah. Everyone's seen it, and it's obviously a big hit. And I really, really love that movie. I think she's great.
Yep.
And the cast, individually, I could just go through all of them, and I think they're great.
Yep.
As, actors.
As actors.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
However, I really didn't like the film.
Yeah.
I reacted quite badly to it.
Yeah.
Not in a really, really visceral negative way, just in a I couldn't be bothered continuing with this sort of way.
Yeah. I've got thoughts about why I think I had a similar response to it. But I will agree with you. Chloé Zhao, awesome director in her own right. She's done a lot of amazing stuff. And Nomadland was next level. I can remember coming out of that, and you and I had a chat and just saying it's now, hers to do with whatever she wants with this new fame that she's garnered for making such an amazing film. And then to find out that the next thing she was going to be doing was a Marvel film was just kind of weird, right? You're going, and this is something that happens in the Hollywood system every now and again, where you have someone make a breakout indie film and it's an incredible film, it gets a lot of attention, and then some exec somewhere goes, well, we've got a new superhero film to make. Why don't we give it to this indie filmmaker and see what happens? Some magic might happen. But you're at the same time, you're throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at someone who's used to making, like a $5 million film. And suddenly they're in the studio system, they're making this huge film studded with stars. And I just feel like that is a recipe for disaster 9.5 times out of 10. Occasionally you get a Taika Waititi come out of that system or a James Gunn and gold happens, right? But I just feel like it's a big risk,
It's a big risk. It's a noble enterprise, isn't it? Because you're taking someone who's shown they've got clear chops to do stuff, and you're giving them a go, and you're waiting for the magic to happen.
Yep.
I think in maybe other setups of films it may have happened, but this one not quite. But she has set herself up, I suppose. Like, she would have been paid a packet.
Yeah.
And now the next film is her choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what she does with that choice, if she goes down the dark path.
Great point.
Or chooses Nomadland 2.
And I say all that as if she's not an adult and can't make her own decisions, right? Yes, she had every choice to say, do I want to make a Marvel film next or not? And she said yes and put her hand up for it, being given the opportunity and all the money.
Well, so, would you put your hand up for it? I haven't made a Nomadland, but I reckon if I had, I'd probably say yes to Marvel.
I would say yes to Marvel too, but I hope I wouldn't be clouded by the opportunity and think a little bit about the script and whether or not I'm the right fit to make that film. But who knows? Who knows, actually, is the answer. What are you going to do in that situation? Nobody can say until you're there.
Well, that's Chloé. We're done with her. We love her. Weren't too keen about the film in general. Do we want to dig into the actual film?
Yeah.
At least what I remember.
And we haven't talked about the synopsis of the film at all. We're a little bit all over the place today. So should we try to give a little rundown on it?
Okay. I don't think I'm capable of that. Do you want to have a crack?
I'm going to have a go. I haven't thought about it too much. And if I fail, then we'll throw to Sal.
Isn't that the beauty here?
Yeah.
If we fail, we throw to Sal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Let's put a bit of neorealism.
Oh, beautiful.
So you've got...
While I pour a drink.
Yeah, oh, great. Yeah. Yes. You've got I'll do that too. You have an alternate reality Marvel thing going on. It's actually the same reality, but it feels self-contained and like it's its own world, right?
Well, no, it is the same reality, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah.
I think they do purposely mention the other parts of the reality, don't they?
They do, and I think they do that because if they didn't say it, you would have no idea. You would have no other touch point for this being in the same universe. Because, Iron Man never shows up. None of the other heroes show up that you're used to. It's really just them saying, oh, yeah, remember how, half the world disappeared a little while ago? Yeah, that's the world we're living in, everybody, Yeah. But anyway, that aside, the idea is that you have these eternal beings and they're kind of like an A-team squad. There's, 7 of them,
a few,
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
A number.
One for every continent.
Yes.
Something like that.
Something like that. And they have a wide... And kind of like the Captain Planet team, they're quite diverse. And they're all sort of named after Greek gods or demigods or whatever. I don't really know the mythology too well.
Cultural figures.
Yeah. And the point is that they were put on Earth to protect the planet from these creatures called deviants that you know nothing about other than deviants are bad for some reason and trying to destroy things, and the Eternals are there to protect Earth from that happening. And the deviants look a little bit like those dog aliens in... Oh, I'm just blanking on the film. Anyway, any number of
in every
aliens.
film where there's ugly, stupid aliens.
Correct, with big teeth and like things flowing off them and stuff. So they're kind of like that, animalistic but alien versions.
Yeah,
and they just fight over the millennia. And you get told that the Eternals have been here for 7,000 years, and they're just here until someone says they can go home. Their big god boss that lives off site. And so that's sort of the situation, and it's really kind of a character drama in many ways, because they're all falling out with each other all the time and splitting off into different parts of the world, and there's a whole bunch of angst. And then in the middle of that whole situation, they discover that actually they weren't here for no reason, and that the Earth has become a kind of like the movie Alien. It's like a host for a sentient being that a giant being that will come out of the Earth at a certain point of time, destroy the planet, and from the stuff of planets create a whole new galaxy or a whole new solar system.
And is that what it was about?
That's yes. And the humans are like the battery power source of this sentient being, and the Eternals were here to protect them the whole time, and now they've realized that their real job was just to let Earth, the numbers multiply until we got to a big enough battery source that the sentient being could be born. Have I summed it up?
Well, no. Well, that doesn't sound familiar to me at all.
Is that not the film that you were watching?
I just don't remember it. I think I checked out halfway through.
Yeah,
honestly, but I got the gist and the look of the film and the performances.
Yeah.
But as far as the plot, I got no idea. It just seemed to be going in every which way, and I just couldn't grasp it.
Yeah.
And that frustrated me, and to the point where I stopped trying. So all of that, I do not remember.
You know what?
Apologies.
You make a great point, though. And I don't know if it's the point you're making, but I'm going to take this point.
Very nice of you to suggest that.
Chloé Zhao aside, this story is batshit crazy. I mean, and it exists within the Marvel universe, but they've just introduced so many new rules. Like, we're just getting over Thanos. I still can't even figure that out. Half the people leave and then they come back, and then, what's going on? And how does it all fit? And then suddenly we're meant to just sort of take in our stride that there's this giant being also in the Earth, that we're actually all just here as a battery for that, and it's going to destroy the world. And what have we all been fighting for? I don't know. But then these Eternals, who we've never met before, are the only ones that can save us, and forget the rest of the Avengers.
It's the bloody Matrix, isn't it? So you've got the Avengers is a crazy concept. The Avengers and all the other, Iron Man and everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know who's who. Then you've got the layer outside of them, this Eternals that we never knew existed.
Yeah.
And the Eternals were created by some other super species, weren't they? Some
totally different thing. Never heard of them before either.
The Celestials or something like that. So we've got a lot of exploring to do in this universe. I'm not sure I'm up to it, but it's certainly a big palette.
Yeah. Now, Sal mentioned on the way out that we should trust within the Marvel universe that there is a greater plan. And I got to say, Kevin Feige.
I'll run with what your guess is.
Kevin Feige has so far proven that he's pretty switched on. Like he's got a plan. There is a plan, and it is working, right? That they are making more movies than should ever have been made possible within this whole universe. And there's more to come, many more. So maybe it will all pan out, and it'll all just become part of the milieu. I'm just saying that word because it sounds intelligent.
Yeah, I rarely say milieu.
Yeah.
I really find an excuse to say it, but that was an excellent
a good one?
Opportunity. I've been looking for opportunities.
Great.
Not found one, but that's a good one.
Awesome. So, maybe there's a reason. Maybe it'll all make sense later.
Yeah, no, there probably is. I think Sal, again, we're referencing Sal quite a bit today.
Yeah.
but I think
because he's here with us all of a
he's
sudden.
here with us. But
In Marvel you trust.
Yes,
it's true. I think he said something like it's a required film in order to, set the groundwork for the next generation of stuff.
yeah,
And that's probably true. So let's give it credit for that.
yeah. Well,
And say, okay, we're not dissing it completely. We're saying it's necessary.
at least the benefit of the doubt. The benefit of the doubt, is that the right thing?
Yeah.
Thanks.
However, as a film, it just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
So what can we talk about? There's such a enormous star-studded cast.
Yeah.
For starters, who you got? You got Angelina Jolie.
Underused
Yeah,
in this film.
absolutely.
Major star, just sort of a side character. It was a bit weird.
And not the only one.
Yeah.
Gemma Chan. Now, I could look at Gemma Chan all day long.
What else has she been in recently?
She was in Humans, that series.
Ah, yes. I was trying to
she
place
was
her.
just
She's
perfectly
incredible
cast
face,
for that.
yeah.
Because she was like a perfect AI being there, and she really looked it, and she played it beautifully. And I thought she was really watchable in this too, although the character just a bit wooden and empty.
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts about her?
I agree. I think all of them didn't really have the moment to shine that they needed to make this come off.
Yeah.
The only one that I was still impressed with was the young fella.
Oh, yeah, you were, weren't you?
The Irish guy.
Yeah, what's his name?
I'm just really blanking on his name. I'm hoping you have it
Barry,
written down.
I can't pronounce Irish names, but Keoghan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Barry Keoghan, who
Barry
was
Keoghan.
Droog.
I just think he's got such a great face and an intensity, and he's going places. He's gonna be huge.
I think we discussed this, didn't we? He was in The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yep.
Which was a cool little different sort of film.
Yeah, and The Green Knight, which I saw recently.
I haven't seen that yet.
And is a ripper.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that'll make it onto the set list.
Yeah.
Who else did we have? What I found odd was we had the two Game of Thrones brothers. Now, this is a bit of a gimmick. Richard Madden as Icarus, who predictably flew into the sun, and Kit Harrington.
Yeah.
The two kings of the North.
Yeah. Great call.
Yeah, and it felt a bit odd that they're placed in such close proximity. I know that shouldn't matter, but
in a love triangle as well. As the two love interests of the same woman. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I guess that's a talking point. It gets people into the theatres.
That's what it is. I think that's all it is.
But I still found it odd. I felt that my worlds were getting confused.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talk about Game of Thrones quite often, don't we? It sort of finds its way in there. And there's a lot of the actors, I guess, because there's a lot of great actors in that show, and
they were stuck in this thing for so long, and then all of a sudden they've made their mark, and they're exploring the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
Which is cool to see.
That is cool to see. Yeah. So I think it was well cast, generally. Generally. I don't think any of them really had that much of a chance to shine individually.
Yeah.
And probably because they were trying to do too much in this film and therefore didn't really do any of it justice.
One of my main complaints about the film is the uneasy tone between sort of semi sort of serious comic book nerd and trying to get some humour in there, but not quite landing it and it being out of place.
That is a great call. I think what we're circling around, if I were to sum it up, is just this general too many ideas and none of them really followed through to conclusion or allowed to sort of to come to conclusion. Like there's too many ideas, there's too many things going on, too many characters, too many themes, and none of them get a chance to be concluded or worked out properly on screen. So you end up with an unsettling, kind of boring, kind of confusing film that is not memorable and is a bit of a misstep amongst all the other Marvel films that have been coming out for years now, that generally, like, they nail most of that stuff pretty well.
They do. I think we might get to some of those in the films that it reminded me of, at least.
Yeah.
For better or worse. Do we have any other talking points about the film before we get to our references?
I'm just curious to know, Sal, what did you think about the film?
Confused. Confused. I expect more from Mormon.
Yeah.
That's why then I say, well, we need to trust them.
Yeah.
So you're trusting them, Sal, even though you didn't like it. So
yeah.
Okay,
there is a reason.
No, that's fair. And deep inside, I'm probably a bit the same. Even though I was disappointed, I kind of think, okay, maybe they're doing it for. Well, they are doing it for a reason, because you know there's going to be movies in the future, so they're setting some groundwork.
Absolutely. And they're sort of too big to fail now. It's kind of like there's so many films that if one takes a misstep, then they can pick it up on the next one. You know, like I think there's a bit of that going on now, which is pretty crazy.
If I can add something, hopefully it's not the Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah.
Situation.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
Is if it is a major misstep, then in 4 years' time they can just remake it with a new director. They can just Suicide Squad it, right? And just go, I'm not even gonna get rid of all of the actors because I like Margot Robbie. I'm gonna keep her, but I'm gonna reboot this whole thing, new director, and pretend the last one didn't happen.
I didn't even know that's what they've done.
That's what they've done.
They've done that. I haven't seen the latest one.
That's how blatant it is now. They didn't even bother recasting Margot Robbie. They just kept her, recast everyone else, and got a new director. And went, Suicide Squad. We're doing it again.
That sort of wrecks the romance for me. You know, I like to feel like I'm buying into something that has some longevity.
Yeah. I should mention that's DC and that's not Marvel, but I'm just throwing them all in the same kettle here.
Look, I think there's a lot to be talked about. And again, I'll probably mention it, and it reminds me, it's about DC, Marvel, the differences, the similarities.
Oh, I like where this is going. Okay.
Yeah.
Jump into that. Tell me.
Should we jump into this?
Yeah.
Well, okay. We're now into, the next part of the show, which those of you at home is where we talk about not just the film, but the films and other references that it reminded us of. Hence the name that reminds me of. So this
let's never do that again.
You're a more natural performer, aren't you? Whereas I'm very much a barrel the camera type of performer.
Sometimes you got to do it.
I think that's the chemistry.
That's the chemistry.
Yeah. Okay. It reminded me of Justice League.
Yeah.
In the way the original Justice League, not the one that I think we had an episode on.
Yeah, the
original
Snyder.
Cut down. Yeah. Original Justice League.
Pre-Snyder.
Pre-Snyder.
Yeah.
That was obviously DC.
Mm-hmm.
And that raced through plot points, just ticking the box. We got to do this. It felt very much like that.
Yes. Great call.
Yeah.
And that was a 2-hour film that then became a 4-hour film once Snyder got his hands on it again, and made you realize how much story was in there that they had, filmed and then had to try to, the execs who got their hands on it, got a new director in, let's just re-edit, crunch this down, see what we can do with it. You do get a sense, I wonder if maybe, Chloé Zhao's version, without execs breathing down her neck, would have been something that had like more room to breathe and would have been a longer, more developed thing, kind of like Snyder's. Maybe
that's what I thought. Yeah, it just felt
same problem,
and yes, she did a good job in introducing a whole stack of characters and a whole stack of backstories a little bit, but not enough to stick with a guy who was sort of half cut drinking red wine.
We did have a bit of red wine.
We did have a bit of red wine. And look, I don't think that's on us.
It's not on us.
I think
we should be allowed to be drunk and still get the film.
And still get it.
Yeah.
Correct.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my first one, Justice League. I've got a couple more to go, but I'd be interested in any that it reminded you of.
Look, this is the time where I have to admit that I haven't done my homework and don't have great reminds me ofs today.
Well, we never do, really.
No, we never have great ones. You're right.
It's just a gimmick.
I, in fact, don't have any. that are coming to mind.
So you want to rest on my homework?
What I was planning to do, because look, you've written things down on paper. I was just going to listen to what you had to say and then just comment.
Just bounce.
Yeah.
Okay. No, you're good at that. Okay.
In my defense, I did set all this up. So while you wrote a couple pieces of paper, I was building this.
That's true. That's true. I did nothing for this. So no, I agree. I just come along for
terrible.
the ride.
I built this months ago.
Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh, great call. Yeah.
Now, a couple of things. Firstly, the lead, who, what's her name? Wonder Woman?
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot. Gadot, we established.
Yeah.
Beautiful, great actor.
Gorgeous,
great actor. But so wooden in that film.
Yes.
Gemma Chan as well. Like, sort of the same. Like, I really find her nice to watch. I think she's a great actor. But there was no sort of real depth to the character. And the main thing is there was no humour. Well, not a lot of humour.
Yeah, particularly with her character.
It was played so straight.
Yeah.
Which is fine in Nomadland, but in a superhero movie, I just would have liked a bit more super heroine in her.
So maybe what that issue is a lack of clear character motivation and direction, It's like the character has not been given enough to do.
Yeah.
She's sort of, most of the time, she's meant to be this kind of stoic warrior, but that's sort of just not really enough, is it, anymore? Like you used to be able to, make Superman sort of look that way, perhaps, or some of the superheroes, but it doesn't really play. And now all we want is more human depth and more character, and more so to the point where we're getting all these films like Joker and so on.
Yeah.
And to have someone who's just a stoic hero that's kind of, going about their business just isn't enough,
Now, so if you remember the Superman movies of the 80s, like that was pure comic book. Yeah. And yet I felt I knew him, I felt I really knew what he was made of.
Yeah, so I wonder what's changed there. I guess, yeah. Again, maybe it's just too many characters.
Too many, yeah.
Too much to do and not enough time. And she wasn't really, perhaps she just didn't have enough to work with. I don't know.
Okay, let's shelve her. Although I must say, even despite some criticisms of the whole film, I think she's the one that, compelled me the most. Yeah. Like, I was still interested in her, despite being disappointed that maybe that's why I was disappointed that she wasn't more fully fleshed out, because she had
all the potential.
She got me in, and I think she's got some presence, and I hope they explore her and actually delve into it a bit.
I wonder if there will be another Eternals, or if this is it. Like they've just this is the experiment, and it didn't work out.
Well, maybe it will work out. Who knows?
I could probably just Google that and see Marvel's got Eternals 2, 3, 4, 5 all planned for the next sort of like 5 years. Bloody hell.
Okay, so you this is all on me, isn't it?
It's all on you. Sorry, it's all on you. What else you got?
So I've got here a note, DC Universe in general. Now, I think this is a point to talk about the fact that like Marvel has always been bloody funny.
Yeah.
Iron Man's funny, Spider-Man's a bit funny, the Avengers are hilarious.
Yeah.
And all of it feels like they're almost trying to be more DC. In that
this one does.
Yeah.
I agree.
Which is odd because DC's not as compelling.
I just always assumed that the folks over at Marvel were just laughing at the DC folks all the time, just like, look at them giving this a go.
It's as if they're copying them.
Yeah, now it seems that way with this film, doesn't it?
Yeah, which I just don't get. And if you compare it, like specifically to say Guardians of the Galaxy, you could say for Eternals, okay, it's tricky to introduce so many characters and to inject humour and to get people to know them. So it's a hard gig. Look at Guardians of the Galaxy, and that first film, you love all the characters. You know everything about them. So it's been done, and they're funny.
Yeah.
And it's a riotous ride.
Yeah.
So it's possible, and yet this one hasn't done it, and it's gone more DC.
The whole DC Marvel thing and their different approaches has been widely commented on. And I think both of the universes, they've had some successes, but overall Marvel is, I think, winning at the superhero game at the moment. With the exception of like a couple rippers that have come out of DC that are just like really, game changers. Totally different approaches. And like you say, Marvel comedy and that sort of slightly more lighthearted approach has really worked for them. And this doesn't feel like that at all, this film.
Yeah. And that's the issue.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it will. Maybe that's the future. Maybe they're well ahead of the game, that really the only people left watching these films are the hardcore ones that have read the comics and want to see it, fully realised.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think they're going to lose some audience as well.
I think so. I haven't looked at all to see what like Rotten Tomatoes thinks about this film, or what the wider world seems to be saying. So I have no idea what the commentary is. I'll have to have a look afterwards. I'll be curious to see. But I've got a feeling that it's not going to be one that's spoken well of in general.
I think the critics panned it. So but the everyday punters might be a bit more forgiving.
Yeah,
I think that's the vibe.
You know what got to me? Just as a general note, in terms of storytelling, they didn't define our antagonist.
So true.
And for the first half of the film, you're just going, why are these things attacking? What do they want? Why are they sometimes so easy to kill and other times really difficult to kill? And what's the point of them? And you're just wondering that for so long in this film. And I think that's like a huge flaw right there. You just can't get away with that,
Well, difficult to kill and easy to kill, I think, is a trope that happens in a lot of these films. Often, at the start of the film, they're bloody impossible to kill. Yeah. And then at the end of the film, they get killed. Yeah. But I agree in this one, they were just a bit indistinct. Like they didn't really bring anything other than a random kind of threat. Yeah. And for that to be the threat that these Eternals have gone for centuries trying to protect humankind from. Yeah. These little sort of wild boar sort of monsters. Yeah. It seems a bit much when they've purposely stayed out of human affairs except for the crises. They've completely glossed over Thanos, killing half of the universe. Right. They've just sat back and watched it. Yeah. Just like they didn't introduce the steam engine when they could have. Right. So it's all a bit that's all a bit shaky. That motivation. Yeah, absolutely. This feels like it could have been. Aha! I have a reminds me of for you. This feels like, yeah, I know, right? I just like to leave it right till the end. It could have been a little bit like a stand apart spin-off series, a little bit like Loki was. Oh yeah. And did you see that show at all? Have I seen Loki? I know who he is. I don't think I've seen the film.
He's got his own season. Yeah. He's got his own season on Disney Plus, and there's this really great concept in there where basically it almost becomes like a little separate strand off from the main story that you're following, where he gets stuck in this loop where he's trying to he's basically become a deviant himself of time, and they've pulled him out of the time continuum because he's causing issues. And you discover there's actually like thousands of Lokis that have over forever have been pulled out of time by this timekeeper character, and they're all different. Some of them are women, some of them are crocodiles, wow. Some of them are like
some of them are crocodiles.
Yeah, some of them are weird monsters, and like they're all just different. And it's glorious because it's the Marvel universe but it's its own little strand where anything can happen. And it feels like this should have been that, you know, like they should have just gone, forget the rest. This is the Eternals strand and we're going to have fun with it.
I need to go to the toilet.
I was waiting. I was about to wrap it up.
I was waiting for you to finish.
Okay. So that's all I've got to say about the film. I mean, have you got anything else you wanted to add?
Look, okay, yes, I do.
Oh, very nice.
The ending. So Jon Snow, Kit Harington, who had a very small part throughout the whole film, as just a mild-mannered boyfriend, suddenly at the end, we reveal that he there's more to come from him.
Yeah.
We can talk about the actual ending, but I'd like to talk about the people that left the cinema before the end of the credits.
I know, these so-called comic book nerds.
They were talking comics all through.
Yeah. They stayed there for the first of the little scenes in the credits, but they forgot that at the very end, there's always a final little scene. And that was the gold that you're talking about. Yeah. Kit Harington.
That was probably the first time I got interested in the film.
Yeah, I know. He did leave a little hint just before the end of the film where he said, oh, by the way, my family's complicated.
Yeah.
And we were both like, oh, yeah, there's going to be something going on there. And then, final scene. We started going, oh, who's going to be in the final scene?
And we were saying it was going to be Kit Harington and Nick Fury. And I'm sure that was Nick Fury's voice.
It certainly sounded like it.
Yeah.
I'm sure the pundits have some ideas, but like I'm just curious. Like it sounded like it was him, and if it is him, you know, who is this Kit? Who is the Kit? I can't say his name.
Hit Carrington.
Who is this character?
Who is this?
What did he take out of the box?
Yeah.
If you're a hardcore Marvel fan, you would know instantly, I'm sure.
Wouldn't it be nice if this sparked like a new Hit Carrington movie where he's more of a funny, vibrant Iron Man, Spider-Man-y sort of Marvel character, and these Eternals are just in the background somewhere. Like they still exist.
Yeah,
we know about them. We know the bigger picture, but this sparks a whole new fun adventure.
I want to see him as a Marvel hero of some kind. That'd be awesome. I don't know anything about his character yet, but he's a great actor, and the character he plays that we've seen so far is kind of a sad sap, really. So it'd be interesting to see, what a Hugh Granty kind of sad sap English guy turned superhero is going to be like.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Well, that's Clark Kent a little bit. He was not British, but same thing.
Absolutely.
I like it. There's a lot to explore, but I don't think that's for today. I think we're done. I'm very happy to have had this first, hit out.
Yeah, man. And we've got things to fix. There are things to make better, but this is a good start. This is a good start. And Sal.
One thing that can't be improved is Sal.
No.
So I think we're pretty happy to have him on board.
There are a few things to fix.
Okay, cool.
He's a realist. He's a maestro and a realist.
I love it.
I think that's all from the three of us for today.
Yeah.
Baron, see you next time, a couple of weeks, and we'll do another one.
Absolutely. Catch you later.
Au revoir.
Awesome.